Making music is about passion. It's not just another job or another hobby. And we kind of expect the people who make the gear we use to share that passion. I mean, it's got to have soul, doesn't it? Hi, I'm Chris Holder. I'm editorial director of AudioTechnology, and this is my video diary of a recent trip to Behringer's manufacturing facilities in China. And I've got to admit, I'm old enough to have some lingering prejudices about Behringer. In the early days, back in the early to mid-90s, the name Behringer stood for everything that was wrong with the home studio explosion. Those in the know were concerned that the kids buying Behringer simply didn't know any better, but were getting throwaway gear that was unreliable, noisy, and had no place in a real studio. And in the early days, some of those claims were well founded. Some Behringer equipment was pretty shonky. Saying that, other items worked fine, did the job, and was surprisingly robust. But you're only as good as your latest stuff up in this industry, and Behringer's rep wasn't exactly exemplary. We all know what happened to the audio market in the late 90s. Everyone, almost to a man, moved manufacturing to China. In fact, now, no one even bothers to hide the fact that there's not the same stigma. Whether everyone actually needs to move operations to China, or if it's simply a situation born out of fear and peer group pressure, is hard to tell, and probably an argument for another day. But one thing's for sure, Behringer was a trailblazer. Behringer was getting gear made in China way before China even really wanted Westerners setting foot on their soil. And I say getting gear made rather than making gear, because there's a subtle difference. Back in the 90s, the only viable option was to give the designs of a mixer or speaker to a factory and they'd make it for you. You couldn't set up your own factory and have it manned by your people. You really were at the mercy of that particular operator. It's why, for example, a few years back the same U87 mic clone kept cropping up, time and again with a different badge. Anyway, times have changed and China has swung open the patio doors to unfettered foreign investment. And in the more liberal economic climate, 5 years ago, Behringer started up a China-based business, Eurotech, to make all its gear. It was a crucial step, as it meant Behringer had full control over product design, prototyping, testing, manufacturing, marketing, the whole enchilada. Nothing was now out of its control, and if something went wrong or buggered up, it couldn't blame a dodgy OEM. It's what they call end-to-end manufacturing, and not many people in the audio biz do it. It pulps its paper to make speaker cones. It has a bunch of surface mount machines that put together circuit boards. It does just about everything. So in the last 5 years, Behringer has gone berserk, routinely releasing 70 or 80 new products at the NAMM exhibition in LA every year. It's moved heavily into guitar-related products, software controllers, lighting products, PA gear, and more recently electric pianos. In some ways it's a bit like Peavey was 15 years ago, only bigger and even more diversified. How much bigger? You only have to look at the factory. It's enormous. Actually, it's unlikely you'll get to visit the factory, so this is the reason for this diary. Operations is based outside a city called Zhong Shan, which itself is a 90-minute ferry ride from Hong Kong. You won't find Zhong Shan in any tourist brochure. In fact, as far as I can tell, the whole area of China that sits around Hong Kong and Macau is like a building site the size of Tasmania. It's smoggy and everything is covered with cement dust mixed with diesel. But it's what's known as economically and strategically important, and they can't throw buildings up fast enough. The tour began in the hotel, where we were to be escorted and informed by CEO Michael Deeb and, wait for it, Uli Behringer himself. Yeah, I know, I wasn't too sure if he existed either, but he does. He kind of materialised like a genie in reception, smiling benignly. I mean, I don't know anyone who's met Uli Behringer. Last I heard he was holed up in some James Bond-style bunker in the Philippines. Like Blofeld with a blow wave, if you will. And sure enough, large as life, there he was without a hint of menace. In fact, over the course of the day, Uli showed himself to be engaging, eloquent, personable, charismatic even. I mean, if Uli had looked deep into my soul and asked me that day to join some doomsday cult, I would have given it serious consideration. Such is the magnetism of the man.